Hey y'all, my name is Tamara Andress. I am your Fit and Faith podcast host, and I am pumped to be here. Just me, no words, no scripts, no intros, no outros. I love authenticity. I hope to breed vulnerability, and I usually do this alongside another dreamer, mover, shaker, entrepreneur, passionista is what I love to call them. If you're a dude, then a dude. But I am loving just coming together in community with other people to share their high and low stories, to share their journeys to come back, because I believe ultimately that's where God would have us. He would have us on the mountaintop. And even though we learn a ton in the pit and in the valley, God would want us right now, especially in this season of life, in this time of our culture, to shine. And so here I am. I want to teach you how to shine. I want to be alongside you when you get your glow. I want to catapult you into your calling, whatever that is. So this isn't a fitness podcast. This is not a religious banter, though we preach Jesus all day long. And this is not just about nutrition or health or wealth, though I like some green, and I know you do too. It's not okay for us to not be okay with talking about all of these things in unison. You guys, we don't just need a mental health podcast. We don't just need a fitness podcast. We don't just need a religious, spiritual podcast. It needs to blend. This is what Fit and Faith is all about. It's all about creating alignment, connectivity. It's about pursuing your wholeness and claiming it over your life and over the lives of the loved ones that you have around you in your community. So thank you for tuning in. I would love to get to know you more. You can like, review, subscribe, whatever it is. Send me an email, DM me. It's me. I have an amazing team alongside me, but you guys are getting me for now. So enjoy. I'm so pumped to have a coffee conversation with you, is what I'd love to call them. Don't have my coffee right now, but I have it in my system, as you can see. All the love. Let's do this together and keep going for your dreams, y'all. Welcome to episode 4 of the Fit and Faith podcast. I am very excited to share with you a friend who became quickly a sister over the course of the last year. She is somebody that I'm always eager to hang out with, sometimes crave hanging out with because of that. She always makes me laugh. It's contagious. Her spirit is just so exuberant. And everyone that she's around, she just makes feel that same way, which I just love about her. She claimed herself as a joyful lover. And we'll learn more about that as we unpack who Naomi is. But she is somebody that's really special to me, and also quite inspirational in how she has unpacked her testimony. And part of that was through going to school and becoming a family, marriage, relationship specialist, and got a master's in her education in that. And so she's here to share all things relationship, Enneagram. If you don't know Enneagram, you have to stay on just for the Enneagram conversation.
It's awesome.
But welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be here. Yes. This is so fun.
It is. It's really fun. It's unlike things that you're used to, especially because of the unscripted component. You're like, what's going to happen? Yeah. We were talking before we got on the anticipation. Yeah. And I'm such a person of words, so I'm like, what's it going to be called? How am I going to unpack this? And so here we are. This is really as live and in action as you could possibly get. Like, we're sweating, all the things. You just can't
all the nerves.
That. So this is truly what a conversation with Naomi is like, constantly making you smile. And I want you to share a bit about how you decided to go to school for what you went to school for, and where you are and what you're doing with it now.
Okay. So pretty much all my life, I have been into relationships. I remember as a teenager, just loving getting to know people's stories, romantic stories mainly. But I just loved hearing even the bad and the good. Like, I loved getting to know it all and just getting to understand everything about it. As much as anybody would let me understand about it. And so I also am musically inclined. So I began pursuing that first, but no doors opened. And and so no opportunities came, nothing came. And I was like, okay, well, this is obviously not the path for me. And my mother, who is a very influential person, hey, Mom, if you're watching, she was like, okay, Naomi, like, what would you want to do if you could do it for the rest of your life? And I was like, honestly, if I could just sit and have coffee with people and get to know their stories, I would love to do that. And she's like, okay, well, that's counseling. That's therapy.
I love that.
And at first I was in denial because that's what my mom was in school for at the same time, which she later moved on from that. But so I was in denial because I grew up not wanting to be like my mom. I wanted to be my own person. I mean, even to this day, it's a joke about Naomi as her own person. But I, followed that path. And as soon as I started talking to people about that path that I was going to go down, everybody's like, oh my gosh, that would be great for you. That would be great. And for me, hearing people, even strangers that have talked to me for 10 minutes, they're like, that would be great for you. And I'm like, okay, this is probably the path that I need to go down.
Yeah.
And, so that was the main inspiration. It also helped, did help. My parents did go through a divorce, but that honestly was not the motivating factor. But it definitely brings experience to the table whenever it comes to therapy and relationships.
Yeah.
So
interesting. That's so cool. And I feel like, I've known you for this long and I'm hearing new things. Like, this is why this is so exciting. I get so much good stuff when it's dedicated quality time. And that's one thing that I just love. I love spending that with you. Yeah, so I'm excited to even go deeper than that. Yeah. You mentioned getting to know it all. And I feel like right since I first met you, you just peer into people's souls. And it's in this inviting, welcoming way where you're not intrusive. It's just comes from a place of trust. And I don't know how God made you that way, but I'm so grateful because it's going to open doors for people. And here you are talking about feeling like doors weren't opening. Yeah. And I was in a conversation with my pastor recently, and he said, you're doing a lot of things, Tamara. I'm like, I know. And he said, but how are you feeling? What is that experience like for you? And I feel like in my 20s, everything that I was doing was, I didn't care if the door was open or closed. Yeah. I was making the door open because I was achieving. And we're going to go into that in a minute. And I was willing to knock, and if it didn't open, I'm like, okay, I'll bust it open. This is how it's going to work.
Make it happen.
And I just always wanted to succeed. And now, as I came and stripped all of that backwards and said, I don't even want to do anything because I don't know who I am or what I want to do, as I started to redevelop that over the course of the last couple of years, it's been so easy and stress-free and relaxing. And I actually find energy when I'm quote unquote working, though we've established it in my home that mommy doesn't work, she creates. And I love that because I don't want my children to think that I'm going to do something just to punch a clock or get paid, because I don't do either of those things. Yeah. So I want them to know that it's from passion and that it's for purpose of changing people's hearts and changing people's lives. But what my pastor said, and the reason I told you this is because he said, God will give you grace for your space. And I think what you're doing and what you're propelling into in this next season is just a space that's going to be filled with so much grace.
I hope so. I really certainly hope so. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm excited about it. Yeah. So share how God made you this way. Not necessarily that you have to go to the deep, dark secrets of your soul, but more so, I love that. More so just where that trust factor, you feel like that was developed, because I feel like that's something I would love to be better at.
So whenever you were telling me about how I have that gifting, apparently.
You do.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I kind of have known about it for a little while, but so the first memory that I thought of whenever you said that was I was in 8th grade. And once again, my mom is a big influence, so she's again a part of this story. But I was in 8th grade, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I think someone told me a secret, and then I accidentally told someone, not realizing how important keeping secrets is. Yeah. And so after I told the secret, that hurt my friend's feelings, and I really did not like hurting my friend's feelings. Yeah. And I did not know I could do to change it or how I can make it better. And so in that moment, I learned, once again, my mom was talking to me and she's like, secrets are meant to be kept private. And that's really where that trust factor began being established. And so for me, right in that moment, I remember thinking, okay, well, I'm going to keep secrets. Like from now on, like I'm going to keep secrets. Wow. And that has been my intention. And I'm not perfect by any means. Like, of course. Not by any means. Like, there are times whenever I accidentally cross a line, cross a boundary. There are things that I might accidentally do not knowingly. But ideally, in an ideal, healthy relationship, they'll communicate with me and I'll communicate back, say, I'm sorry. You know, that was never my intention. Yeah. I will do my best to do better next time. Yeah. So that is kind of that. I think that's kind of where it began. Yeah. That was in 8th grade. So.
Yeah, that's so neat that you can like place point that. And I think that is like a part of when I'm helping women in core establish like, where are you supposed to go? Where is God leading you? And they have no idea because it's not something that's just like written out on paper or you wake up and you're like, ding. Yeah. Though it does happen sometimes that way. It's really like connecting all of those points in your lives that are just really imprinted on your heart and like continue to propel you into that next space. Sometimes it's horrible experiences, it's trauma, it's hurt, it's depression. Sometimes it's really happy moments that you know from here on out, I want to continue to do this, and not for the satisfaction of necessarily making other people happy, because that too goes back to my people-pleasing nature, but it's for making yourself happy and making the world a better place while doing it. I'm also a mama's girl, and I think it's really interesting because they want us to be better versions of who they are, and even maybe drastically different than who they are, and yet at the same time it's really hard because they're instilling all the things that they've learned along the journey, so naturally you become similar to them. Oh yeah. And so I've lived that out my whole life to the point where I would hang out with my mom's friends and they'd be like, you guys are just two peas, the same, and I like always relished in that. I always thought it was so amazing. And then I got to a place when I was really questioning my identity. I only really wrap myself in her. And though she's a beautiful, amazing person, like I'm not Brenda Cornwell. I'm Tamara Andress. And I wasn't allowing myself to be who I was called to be because I was okay being her or her daughter, which is such an honor. Yeah. But I think that there's a lot of like importance in that experience, and for you to clarify that early on in life. It took me after having kids. So imagine like making 180s so late in life is so hard to do. And I get the concept even of midlife crisis. I would call my 30s my midlife crisis when I turned 29 and 30. And I'm glad I did it then. And I pray to God, and I'm sure my husband does too, that it doesn't happen again when I'm 40 or 50 or any of those things. But as you are unpacking relationships with people now, like how do you see that like diversity in family and those different, what do they call them? All the different roles that people play. Like how has that affected you in your learning experience of school?
Oh my gosh.
It's a big question.
Yeah, it is. Because I'm like, I don't even know where to begin because there's so many things that go in with roles and relationships and how it plays into who you are as a person and how it plays into the community. So let me think. Relationships and roles. So I have a few people that I'm pretty close with. Okay, let's start with this. So talking about trust and privacy, and one of my mentors growing up really honed in on having a small group of people that you are close with and that see everything. And you can still be friends with other people, but it's important to have just a handful, maybe
that inner circle.
And so I've been intentional about doing that and still having friends, still friends outside of that and all of that. But my biggest thing that I have been trying to live from is from a place of rest. And so in relationship with others. And so for me, what that means is, okay, I know who I am. I know how I treat others, and I know how I want to be treated. And if I see that, you don't know how to treat me that way, then okay, you're going to be in this circle, like the outer circle. If I see that you kind of do know how to treat me a certain type of way, and I know how to treat, like we have this nice flow, like this vibe.
Symbiotic.
Yeah. Like if we have a nice going, a roll, I mean, not a roll, but like
I got you.
Yeah. Then let's test the waters. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah. Can I be my complete self with you and love you and accept love from you too? Because and I'm going to go on a little tangent here, part of love and relationship is a give and receive. And sometimes it's so difficult for people, including myself sometimes, to receive love. Yeah. It's a lot easier to give. But in the inner circle especially, it's so important for you to receive. Yeah. And on the outer circle, that's typically where the people are that are wanting to take something from you, not necessarily in a bad way. Sure. But more so, take from your giftings or take from your energy, and because that's part of why we're here, right? Is to pour out into the community what is inside of us. Yeah. And so as far as roles go, like trying to tie it back in.
Yeah, you're doing amazing.
Trying to tie it back in. I kind of maybe I know I idealize a lot. Yeah. So whenever I'm with those people that I'm close to, I idealize where we're at. Yeah. But I also try and keep stay present with where we're at as well. Yeah. And so kind of what that means is for me, is that I kind of, whether it's directly or indirectly, I kind of call out what I see in the ideal world, if that makes sense, in those moments. And it's
to that person.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's something as tiny as, I don't know, like, are you sure you want to smoke that right now? Or, no, I don't even say that. I honestly don't even say that. So I don't even know why I said that. But let me think. Hold on.
I understand, but you were like, this is what I would have you do. So let me prompt you with a thought.
Yeah. And it's honestly for me, it's because above all else, above them changing, above this ideal version of them, right? It's about my relationship with them. Sure. At the core of who I am, that is it. Yeah. I love you, no matter if you ever get to this ideal or not. I love you. Yeah. And so for me, in that core group of people, because I feel like I'm receiving something from them, and I'm able to give, they receive stuff from me. That's at the end of the day, that's it. Yeah. That ideal will eventually happen or not. Right. But it'll eventually get better because, or it'll end.
Right.
Right. That's relationship.
I'm glad I'm still on the... I'm got over here on the deep end now. Hold on. What's she going to bring to the table? Just kidding. You're it's so interesting to hear how your mind works behind it, because I watch you interact with people, and you, because of the way that you have that trust instinct, you also lean in. And so that leaning in component of just tell me more, that allows people to just fall into you, which I think is so beautiful. So it must be something about your personality traits, though, too.
I think it is, because that leaning in is something. I probably had it before I was in school, my master's program, but it honestly, I was on campus regularly, and the on-campus classes, I was just talking to my former professor last week about this. Yeah. I'm not in school anymore, and I just went to visit because I love her. I was just, every single class challenges you. Yeah. And I kind of look at it as they were kind of honing, kind of chipping away at the edges of your personality, at the edges of who you are, but you're still there. Yeah. And so that leaning in part is something that I learned in school. I might have had a little bit of it, but already before I was in school, but then whenever I got into school, I really just naturally it began to click. Oh, I love that. And so my personality was always there, or else people would not have been like, oh, this is perfect for you, Naomi. Yeah, totally. I don't even know your name, but this is perfect for you, lady. Yeah. You know what I mean? But whenever I was in school, it really like just perfected it.
Love that.
To now where it's just natural, and I have people that are telling me, I don't want Dr. Naomi. I just want Naomi. Please, can you just give me
Stop
Naomi?
leaning in. Lean back. Just lean back. That's awesome.
So yeah, so that's now something that I get to work on, but
going backwards
Yes.
versus leaning in. That's hilarious. I love it.
So, yeah.
I'm going to use that now.
Yeah.
So I like you, Dr. Naomi, and friend Naomi.
Yes, I like you too, Tamara.
Thank you. So tell me more about like the personality component of what you're doing now, and when you're even helping people, or like you've helped me for sure. How do you like dissect us? Because I know in your background you're like, oh, poor thing, or wow, that's really amazing, or oh man, this is gonna happen because that happened, or I know this happened because this is what she's like. I need to know that because I want that so bad.
Well, honestly, I will be perfectly honest. That is, from the get-go of all of this, that was the very thing that I do not want to do.
Sure, true.
Because if I have that in my mind, I'm not present with you, and I'm already analyzing you. I'm already, I mean, there's just so many things that prevent me from being present with you.
Sure.
And if I have these thoughts already, I can't remember.
Like preconceived notions.
Yeah, but it's there's a phrase, and I can't think of what the phrase is, but I'm already thinking things,
Sure.
and it very well could come out to play like that, but it's preventing me from being present with you.
Sure.
And so I'll pull it out if you want me to analyze you. Yeah, okay, I can do that. But at the moment, like right now, I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, okay, she's an achiever, she's trying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not, she's a perfectionist, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
I'm not thinking that.
Yeah, interesting.
I'm just here listening to you talk, and I'm talking back.
I'm so happy. I guess if you were maybe in the CIA or the FBI, it could be used to your advantage. But I do. But do you think about it when you leave a situation?
It depends on what the situation is. So
like what about when you're in therapy with patients?
So in therapy with patients, because that's my job.
Sure.
That I have to turn it on.
Sure.
And so I'm constantly analyzing, I'm constantly conceptualizing, so I get to see a lot of families, and I'm very excited about that. But part of what goes into getting to see families is you have 3 or 4 different people that are playing a role into this client's symptoms, whatever they are.
Sure.
And so I get to look into, okay, so what is every person's role? How are they affecting this? Wow. And externally, like, what's their home life like? What's job like? How often is mom and dad home? What does home life look like? Like, do they hang out? Do they not hang out? Like, there are so many factors.
Wow. Yeah.
That I'm constantly, at least attempting to. I'm still learning, but
we all are.
that I'm keeping in mind. So that's probably part of the reason why I turn it off too, is because that's my job.
Sure.
And in real life, like I said, I can turn it on, but I'd much rather just be present.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of that. I think part of being present, though, is knowing who you are. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like for so long in my relationships, even though I had no knowledge of Enneagram or family dynamics or roles or any of those things that I now know because of therapy, not because I'm a therapist. Let me just clarify that. I've learned a lot. But is that I feel like I was always like psychoanalyzing what was happening and trying to maneuver it or make it to my advantage or just really not being present with people. And I would just encourage people who are listening that if you are in that place and that's how you dissect relationships, whether you're in your inner circle or there's somebody that you're meeting for the first time, I think from my own experience that the reason that you're doing that and a way that you can help get yourself to be more present is to really try and dig deeper into who you are.
Yeah.
So I'd love, share what you've learned about Enneagram, and that's like a huge unpacking in and of itself.
Yeah.
But maybe some practical things that people could take back with them.
Okay, let's see here. So first practical thing, take the test.
Check. Got it.
So in general, I don't know who all knows about it, but in general, it's a lot easier with visuals, but there's a circle, and different points on this circle are different types of personalities. And it's actually super in-depth because it's not just, I love Myers-Briggs.
Yeah.
Once again, my mom and I were like super hardcore about that, and I still love it.
Yeah.
But it's a bit more in depth, and it's a bit more flexible than Myers-Briggs is. And so each type has a type that they might look more like whenever they're under stress and towards health. And also there's different varying degrees. So on the main Enneagram website, there are like, I want to say like 9 descriptors of varying degrees of health or unhealthiness. So first, like I said, take the test. And there are some that cost money. There are some that are free. It just kind of depends on how in-depth you want to go. But once you take the test, go to, it's enneagraminstitute.org, I think. And it has each type description. And I would highly recommend, after you take the test, to go to the type that it describes. And each type, if you want, obviously, you can do whatever you want. But on the page, this is the part that's very important. So on the page, there is a core desire and a core fear. And before you read anything else, well, maybe not before, but that needs to be one of the first things that needs to be read. Read that and see how true that lines up with you and things that you have dealt with all your life. The core fear that you've dealt with, the core desire that you've had your entire life, the kind of the foundation of who you are and how everything was developed for you. That is honestly what will help you determine your type, even past, what the test says, because ultimately you are the expert of yourself.
Right.
And even if you don't know yourself that well, you're the only one that can know yourself that well. That's good. So look at that, and then you can go through everything else. But, cause I know that sometimes, like for instance, with, type 9s, especially moms that are type 9s, like my brother's girlfriend's like this. She thought she was a type 2 because she's a mom. But a lot of type 9s look like type 2s.
Interesting.
And like I can think of at least 3 others off the top of my head right now that are type 9s, but they're actually, they think that they're type 2s. They really mirror a lot of type 2s. So that would probably be the practical steps to go. And then what this practically helps in relationships, it's amazing. Because whenever you can understand not just yourself, and you can understand, it doesn't even have to be a romantic person, just a partner, a friend. Whenever you can do that, you can actually talk to them and help them, heal them, or love on them through that type. Through those core desires, those core fears, and obviously don't make them more scared. But, one is like abandonment. Don't abandon them. Don't do that. So on the website, it actually talks about what each type is like whenever they're in relationship with another type, which I love.
So helpful. Yeah.
And then you can kind of be like, oh, is this kind of, oh my gosh, it is. Like, this is exactly what it looks like. So that's super, super helpful. I don't know, anything else?
No, I think that's so good. I think I've taken unpaid versions and paid version. The paid version was amazing. I feel like it was $12. It's worth $12, people. Don't go to Chick-fil-A today. Take the Enneagram test. And it literally gave me like a 10-page document of all of these things. And so Gary and I did it like hand in hand, and to really like go dive deeper into our relationship and comprehend, there were so many aha moments. So not only are you having aha moments about yourself, because some of the things innately, but subconsciously, you never actually like wrote out, this is how I am, or this is who I am when I'm most healthy. But to see myself, again, being an achiever, by the way, that's number 3. So if you're out there, go do a podcast or something. Why are you sitting here? Should be achieving. But seriously, it's like, it was talking about the health, factor of like how you operate when you're most healthy, and then different levels of where you're operating. And I was like, 3 below, operating on my most healthy self. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I get to the best? I was so mad. And I'm like, okay, what can I do to achieve the top health for number 3? So dumb.
I love it.
But it just naturally,
Yeah.
like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't competing with
No.
someone. I wasn't comparing myself with someone. I just wanted it.
You
And
want
it
to be
was
the
just-
best
Yes,
at
it was
everything.
so horrible. It's so stupid. I am a 3, and those are things that are great, but there are so many things that I'm like, need to be like Naomi and just rest. Just rest in who I am. So
I don't
really
think it's a bad thing.
I know. There's a lot of 3s that change the world. So
Yeah.
thanks for
Tons.
listening. Hopefully you're being changed right now, and then I'm accomplishing something with this time investment. No, I love it. I think it's been really helpful, and even if somebody else doesn't take it, and this was something that was told to me. First off, never tell someone what their Enneagram is. Never be like, oh, you're a 6. Because then they're going to go and be like, you bleep. We don't have a bleeper yet, but that is not who I am. I am not like that. And it will hurt somebody's feelings, or they won't be in your inner circle anymore. So just, you can subconsciously recognize, and if you're playing a game or you're at the session and someone says, what am I? Then you can answer. But unless it's something that's brought on, I wouldn't encourage you to do so. There can be some detriments, and once you read it, you'll understand why. But I think it's been just a really amazing tool for me in my marriage, as well as me as just a person, that then has broken down barriers, but then also allowed me to set boundaries in other areas of my life that needed boundaries that I also didn't set.
So it helped you with health.
Yeah.
Your overall health of yourself and your relationship.
Totally.
That's awesome.
Which I think, even from the perspective of like the mind and body, because that's like the emotional piece, and I always am talking about the alignment of all 3 and how important they are. It helped me recognize even when I can be overachieving in my body consciousness, or vice versa, and just completely not doing it. Same with my mind. Like, I'm constantly racing. I need to have those times of check out, those times of rest, those times to be still, and it's finding that balance. And I was listening to the new Rachel Hollis book that's out right now, Girl Stop Apologizing, and she was talking about how she thinks balance is total like hoopla. And because if you think about it on a scale, or if you think about it on a pendulum, or any of those things, you can never fully be balanced, because at some point in that moment or that day or that season of your life, you're focused on one thing more than the other, because you want to get that part more healthy. So mentally, if I'm going to therapy on a weekly basis, I'm trying to get my mind and my heart right. And then I don't have time or energy, because I'm crying all the time, to go to the gym, because people see me crying there, and it's too emotional. I couldn't do it simultaneously. So like, I went through the heart healing and the mind healing, then I went through the body healing, and then the spirituality, which of course is a whole component in and of itself. I did that in tandem with everything, because I do feel like that is a part of what keeps you balanced and able to even exist. But she was talking, instead of the word balance, she uses the word center. And I like that, because you have a center, and you can kind of see that triangular piece around it. And it's similar to the circle from the Enneagram, that if there's going to be times when you're shifted towards one side or the other, that doesn't mean that you're completely doing it all wrong, because you're not mind, body, and soul balanced. So it intrigued and challenged me, and I wonder where that goes as far as like overall discussion standpoint. But I think that it has a lot of importance to it.
Definitely. I mean, keeping yourself, in balance or centered, like just keeping mindful of all of your parts. Like, that's ultimately, in my mind, that's ultimately what it's about, is keeping mindful all of the different parts of who you are that make up who you are. And sometimes there are things that we have to shut down, or that someone's telling us that we need to shut down at a young age. And we do, because we're children and we don't know any different.
Totally.
And so that's part of the joy of being a human. You get to figure out, okay, what, at least for me, what inside of me has been shut down, or what inside of me am I not fully operating out of? What is not fully living from inside of me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what being fully whole to
Yeah.
me means, or living fully well. Like that is to be able to not feel trapped in any component of who you are. And I lived like that for so long that it's the most freeing thing to not stand in that place. And that doesn't mean that, again, you've said it from the get-go, it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. It doesn't mean that I have days that I just want to crawl back in bed, or that I'm not sad, or that I'm not angry. Absolutely. I think I experienced all of those emotions just yesterday. Yeah. And here I am smiling and like interacting. It doesn't close me off like it used to anymore, because I know, okay, if this part is broken, what can I do over here to move me back into that place of being centered and feeling well? Because life is hard and it hurts, and there's a lot of things that cause you to be unbalanced, but I can't blame those things because I'm only in control of me.
Yeah, so true. So true.
Yeah.
I was thinking something I couldn't, and now I forgot it.
That's okay. That's usually what happens. There was another thing that you were mentioning, and it was the concept of, you talked about setting intentions and like this idealized concept of like relationships or a scenario. And Gary always talks to me about, not setting expectations.
Yeah.
But expectations versus intentions are two very different things.
Yeah.
Because an expectation you're likely going to be let down with, and an intention you have the hope for something, and it can be more on your side. Yeah. This is my intention. You can't depict or discern what somebody else's intention is that's being brought to the table. That would be an expectation. I'm expecting them to come this way, versus an intention is I'm going to come this way regardless of what comes.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. You're setting intentions.
I have, I don't remember when, but it was probably 3 to 5 years ago whenever I first started wanting to be intentional. And I'm like, there are days where I'm like, I don't give a crap. I just want to be selfish today. I just want to cry. I just want to not do anything. Yes. So there are definitely days where I'm like, no, I'm just going to be intentionally unintentional.
I love it.
But there are other days where I'm like, no, like with these relationships, I want to be intentional in how I'm speaking. And it's no longer is it at the forefront of my mind. Yeah. It's more so in the back of my mind because it's been practicing. And that's probably the other thing that I was going to say was whenever you were talking that I forgot is the life is going to hit you. One way or another, it's going to hit you. And it's also going to lift you. But it's all, like you said, it's all in how we choose how to react to it. But part of that, in my mind, is practice. Every single day, you get an opportunity to practice how you respond to things. And not just how you respond to things, but also intentionally, like go inside and say, okay, what's going on in my body right now? What's going on in my mind? What's going on in my emotions? Am I numb? Am I sad? Am I grieving? Like be intentional about what's going on. And not just understanding it, but also reaching out, and if you need healing, or if you need reaching out and internally, whether it's with God or whether it's with, I don't know. I mean, whoever you believe in.
Therapists, doctors.
But intentionally doing something to help yourself. Yeah. And it can even be like, I love myself. Yeah. Like in that moment, I'm crying and I'm allowing myself to cry. Yeah. And loving and just not trying to shut myself down. Yeah. Because if you try and shut yourself down whenever you're feeling any kind of emotion, you're literally shutting a part of yourself.
Yeah. That's
off.
So true.
But whenever you allow it to come out, there is freedom. Like you said, there is so much freedom. Yeah. And I really firmly believe that each day we get an opportunity to practice. I just found this new phrase, experiential freedom.
I saw this. I love this. It was on your Pinterest, and I was so happy.
It's my thing, I think.
I love it.
But it's so true. And it's like experiential freedom, not just internally, but let me tie it all in again. So, I don't know, let's use an example. Maybe that'll help. So I have a crappy day. And crappy day being I get a flat tire, my boyfriend breaks up with me, my dad has cancer, and I don't know, I get a notice that I have to leave 30 days out of my house. So that's a really shitty
Yeah.
thing. Beep! Sorry.
Yeah. Beep.
But that's a really, really bad day.
Yeah.
Like, so in each moment that I find all of these things out, I can choose to intentionally, like, okay, like, for instance, whenever I get a flat tire, okay, well, this is frustrating. You know what I mean? And then I can go in and be like, okay, what am I feeling? Like, this is really makes me pissed off. Like, I hate that. Why do I have to I'm on my way to work. You know what I mean? So I'm expressing, getting it out, whether it's me just literally talking to myself or me just, like whatever it is. You know what I mean? But that's what I need in that moment. And allowing myself, giving myself that I'm experiencing the emotion, the freedom to be able to experience it.
Good.
And for instance, or if, my boyfriend breaks up with me. So there's a lot that goes in with that, because you have hopes, you have dreams that are tied to that, you have emotions that are tied to that. And so for me, if I were to experience that, I would need to go in and be like, okay, so what all is going on? And I would just listen to what's going on in my body. And sometimes there will be, this is weird, but this is totally like a therapy thing. Like there's a little girl inside of me that's crying because she was hoping that this would be a person that she could spend the rest of her life with. Yeah. So, so it's all the expectations that I had that I'm so disappointed about now. Yeah. So giving myself the opportunity to experience that sadness, to experience the disappointment, and to cry if I need to cry. Sometimes, I'll be honest, like last year, I was incredibly busy. And so sometimes people's lives are so busy that they don't have time to be able to do this. And that's totally okay. Yeah. So timing is everything. I'm a firm believer that timing is everything. And so if your life is super, super busy, that's okay if you put it on a shelf. Like literally, like my boyfriend just broke up with me, but I gotta go to work. Yeah. Let me just put this on a shelf right here, and then we'll come back to it later. Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah. So that is, sometimes you have to do that too. Yeah. And that's okay. Interesting, yeah. That's totally okay, because life hits you. Yeah. Sometimes whenever you don't want it to.
Right.
Like,
and your notice is going to be 30 days, so you have to go to work. Exactly. You can't not go to work. You can't not parent when the baby's like, hello, I'm hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this also, so I want to extend this out, not just can we find experiential freedom within ourselves, but we can also find experiential freedom outside of ourselves. And so that can be with God, that can be with, I find experiential freedom in traveling. Like whenever I had the opportunity to travel to Europe and Spain in the early fall last year for the first time by myself. Yeah. And it was amazing. I was like, oh, this is so great. Oh, wow. It was also scary. It was definitely also scary. Like, I was like, there was like a creeper Uber dude, and he was like, so, who's here right now? I'm doing a horrible accent. But I was like, my boyfriend, my big, tall boyfriend. I'm going to be here for 2 weeks, not another day. I'm not leaving tomorrow. I'm leaving in 2 weeks, So there were definitely scary times. Yeah. But it was amazing, amazing. For me, I found so much freedom in that. Yeah. And it was just the best. I got to, kayak on the Mediterranean, snorkel in the Mediterranean. Amazing. I mean, that experience for me brought me so much freedom and so much more understanding of the world.
Absolutely.
It was amazing.
Yeah, it's like a experiential cultural freedom. Because culture in and of itself can be really debilitating. Yeah. If this is the only place you've been. I totally am an advocate of traveling. Yeah. Literally even 2 hours in a different direction, and you will find a different culture. Oh, it's just different. And I think, you're saying the components of fear that were happening, like getting outside of your comfort zone is such a place of experiencing freedom. Yeah. Anytime that you achieve something new, you were not there before. Yeah. And so that achievement, here I am achieving again. Lord, help me.
It's okay.
It just naturally comes out.
It's okay.
It's so strange.
It's awesome. I love it. No, I'm not. I'm not.
You're present with me. So then you get to that next place, you're like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing accomplishment. I feel so great here. But it took steps of fear and steps of uncomfortability and steps of unknown to get to that next level of freedom. And I think too, like you can get to a space, even spiritually, of being free, and then all of a sudden you hit a roadblock again. You're like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I was just free last week at the altar.
Yeah.
And here I am on my knees again. What's wrong with me? I think it's less about looking at it from that, but looking at it like, why are the wise people wise? They've walked through this. They've done this before. They've trudged the path, because it isn't a matter of check 1 box, check 2 boxes, check 3 boxes, and you're there.
Yeah.
You've reached existentialism. It doesn't work like that.
Not at all.
And that's the cool like component of life, and like the gift that God's given us is that it doesn't end, no matter if you're just getting started or you feel like I am on the peak of the peak and there is nothing higher and I am not going down. Life does happen.
Yeah.
So I love experiential freedom. I'm like trying to do it right now. What can we go do? It's so fun.
I love it. I really,
Sweet.
that's a big, whenever I, discovered that phrase, it was definitely like, oh my gosh, everything that I do is about experiential freedom.
So beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and now granted, I'm a type 4. And so a lot of type 4, it's type 4 is all about finding identity.
Okay.
And so their core desire is to figure out who they are and belonging. And their core fear is not knowing.
Okay.
Yeah. And not having a place to belong. And so for me, I've also been challenging myself in my own mind, to not put this identity in all the experiential freedom I've had or all the experiential freedom I'm going to have. But it is still, at the end of the day, about relationship. Yeah. Going back to what I said at the very beginning about those people that are in my core group of friends, if they don't want to change, okay. If they don't want to experience freedom, okay. I still love you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I still love you because I'm in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
And so for me, yes, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Like, experiential freedom is huge, and it's incredibly healing. It can be an amazing doorway, avenue to finding life.
Yeah.
In life.
Yeah.
Because so many people would just go about life and don't experience life.
Yeah.
And so that can be an amazing gateway to that. But at the end of the day, it's still about relationships.
That's really cool. So for me, and this is something that Gary and I, like, our love thrives in, is the relationship of experiential freedom. When we get to do those things together, like, that's such a connecting point for us, that it literally brings us back to center. And I think that to experience that even with those people who are in your inner circle as friends. I remember taking Morgan and Anthony, like, on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which we talked about in the first podcast, and she was scared out of her ever-loving mind. She was probably cursing my name under her breath the whole time, which I know because she told me and I heard her. But then she got to the top and she's like, oh my gosh, I just did this. And so to have that experience with people, and the quote of, you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with, and you take inventory of what those people look like, and if you're not happy or there's something about you that's like drowning, look and not just within yourself, but what you're surrounding yourself with, because it could not be that it's you, but you're only hearing or you're only seeing the example or the condemnation of words over you. So I feel like in order to get to that place, that's a very practical step in relation, whether it's with your spouse and not telling you to kick them to the door, because that would not be a good idea.
No.
Go see Naomi first. She will help you.
Only if you want it.
Yes, of course. But to look at that inventory and see where you're at, what you're experiencing when you're with that person, what they're pulling out of you, what they're giving back. Yeah. Because sometimes, what was the other thing that somebody said recently? Choose to love the people who love you back. And you're really good at loving people despite whether they love you back. And at some point, while that's really good, I feel like I'm doing that right now through a couple of relationships that's really hard to do. At some point, you have to recognize that these people will be over here. Yep. They're not the inner circle people.
And that's where the boundary comes up.
Correct.
That's where the boundary.
Yes. See, this is so good. We've had so many buzzwords, like intentional, boundaries. I mean, my therapist is going to be so proud of me. I'm just so excited.
She will be. You're right.
It's so good. Well, I think Today has been amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I knew this was going to happen. We could seriously continue forever because I didn't even get to talk to you about the mind, body, soul, boom piece. So that's coming at you next time. Not going to tell you what the boom is until you come back. But Naomi, as I told you, is such a joy. Her smile, her laughter, her heart, and her purpose are something that I am just so grateful to be a part of.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you for allowing me to love you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for loving me.
Yeah.
And I hope other people really got to see a bit of you and learn something from this and take it home.
Definitely. That's always my hope is that I feel like I have so much knowledge and experience too. Experience for freedom.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yes.
But I am at the cusp of beginning to pour it out.
Yes.
And so,
exciting.
So it is exciting. It
so
really
I know
is.
you don't have an official website yet, but you do have the Pinterest page, which I think is incredible. So I will link that here, so people can start getting insight into all of these bits and pieces. Because I saw, I'm like, holy cow, there's so many boards. This is so fun. You can learn all about Enneagram 4, which is her, and really get to know her. If you are looking for a new friend, she's the one. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
You guys are amazing. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to getting to know you more. So come back. I'll let you know when Naomi's scheduled again. She's rad.
I'm Tamara Andress. I'm your Fit and Faith host, and I am so excited to just be here to share with you other movers, dreamers, shakers, entrepreneurs, pastors, whatever. If you've got a head and you've got a heart, I'm so excited to explore who that is, whose you are, and discover your wholeness, your health, your wealth, and your joy. I love to exude happiness. I want people to know that this is not, this came with trial. You guys, this came with a lot of effort. This came with a lot of lows and so many highs. And I want us to experience those together. This is a real community of dreamers, and I'm excited to help catapult your calling, your kingdom experience, the purpose of your imprint on the world, wherever, however that is. So come along for the ride. I'm excited to chat with you. Like, comment, review, send me a DM, send me an email. It's me responding, even though I have an incredible team. And so I'm just excited to get to know you. Let's connect, let's create community, and let's walk in our calling.